Do you know that feeling? You have this one shot and you keep missing it the same way. And I was wondering, is it my aiming? Is it my approach? What was the problem? And I'm gonna tell you in the end what I found out. Or maybe you are one of these people who are confused with aiming overall. What is the contact point, the aiming point, and the aiming line? Where should I start and how can I improve?
Have you ever Googled aiming systems and then you were more confused afterwards than before? Or you thought, I have to be like a math genius in order to pot balls consistently? In this video, I'm going to talk about aiming overall, look at the limitations when it comes to aiming systems, and at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my aiming approach and some training tips so you can get better at aiming and hopefully pot more balls. Everything comes down to potting balls in pool. You can have the best stroke, best technique, best strategy. If you're not potting the balls, you're off the table. So aiming might be the holy grail when it comes to pool, but it is very complex and very difficult. First of all, I want to say that I totally understand every pool player who Googles aiming systems and wants to work on the aiming or get better at potting balls. But I'm sorry to say that, but when it comes to aiming, potting balls, there is no shortcut. There is not one system out there that works 100% for every situation that you have in pool.
Now let's have a look at the key points when it comes to aiming. You should always start with a straight shot because that's easy. So you focus on hitting the center of the cue ball onto the center of the object ball. To make the aiming point visible, I'm going to use this device. Got this long time ago. I think it's still great, especially to beginners, so I can show the difference between a contact point and the aiming point. A good way to show and understand where the cue ball is supposed to hit the object ball is the ghost ball method. So you take another object ball and put it close to another ball. In this case, the 6 ball is now my imaginary cue ball, and this is actually the aiming point. It's the center of the 6 ball. Now here you can see it even better. This is the contact point and this is your aiming point. So here's the aiming point when you play a straight shot. But now look what happens when you have an angle shot. That aiming point starts moving until it is actually outside of the object ball. So the aiming point keeps changing according to the angle. But let's have a look at these two shots. This is a straight shot and this is a pretty tough angle shot. So if I move now the cue ball from one side to the next, you see that there are all different kinds of shots on the way to the other ball. So you could say from a 0-degree shot to an 80-degree shot, you basically have 80 different kinds of shots. Of course, the changes are small and you might not have to adapt completely for every single shot, but I'm just trying to explain to you that this is a difficult topic. Aiming points keep changing according to the angle, and we haven't even talked about the factors yet that influence your line of aim and your aiming point.
When I watch these videos about the systems, what I can tell right away is it got a lot to do with pivoting the cue, with degrees, with dividing the cue ball and even the object ball into 3 parts or 4 parts. It's like hit like 1/4 of the object ball, right? And I'm like, if you get 5 people and you ask them, show me 1/4 of the object ball, I'm sure you're gonna get 5 different answers. Because it's perception too, right? It's you gotta have a feel for that kind of stuff. So I'm like, what? All of this seems quite complicated to me. So I'm wondering, how is this for beginners and amateurs who have no experience with pool, who have no experience with aiming, potting balls, and no references? But hey, I mean, maybe this helps you more than my approach today. Who knows? I don't think so though, because my approach is quite easy and it's doable all the time. And you can include it in your pre-shot routine. So I think it's easier, but hey, again.
Here are the factors that influence your aiming point. Type of shot, of course, then the spin, so left or right spin, then of course the speed of the shot influences the aiming point, cut or spin induced throw, remember my spin video, and the equipment, of course, polished balls, new cloth, or low deflection shaft.
How do you know that your aiming is the problem? So people are looking for aiming systems, and that's always the first question I ask them is, how do you know your aiming is wrong? It's like, well, because I missed the ball. So I'm like, well, there could be many more reasons why you missed the ball. Because you can aim right, still miss the ball. You can aim wrong, still make the ball. Because it's also a question of cue delivery, shot, technique, right? So Don't just look at aiming, look at the whole picture.
And here is what I found out about the shot I kept missing. It was actually my alignment that was the problem, because my aiming point was correct. Of course, I know where the aiming point and aiming line is, but the way I approached the table was very frontal. Remember my video? I'm doing it a bit more sideways, and for whatever reason I changed it for that kind of shot. So whenever I changed my alignment again, my approach, the way I went down, all of a sudden I pocketed the ball again.
Here is my approach. First of all, the try and error method is still great to start with. So you set up balls, play the shot, look at the result, understand what happened, too thick, too thin, adjust, play it again. Then the ghost ball method. As I'm still a big fan, no matter what anybody says out there, especially for people who have no clue about aiming yet, who have no idea where to aim. The ghost ball method is a great way to visualize where your cue ball is supposed to be. It helps you understand aiming. When you're trying to find aiming lines and stuff, also make sure you look at it from every perspective. Looking at the shot, at the aiming lines from standing upright is much easier to most of the people than when you're down on the shot. It's a different perspective. So when you're learning that, look from every kind of perspective. One thing I also love to do is drawing lines in the beginning. So if you have a problem visualizing the aiming line to the object ball, but also to the pocket, take a chalk, just a white chalk, you can get it off the cloth, no problem, and draw the line. Then you can visualize that much easier. I'm, for example, very good with visualizing. It's not a big problem to me, but I'm sure there are people out there like, great. Now I'm not good with degrees and I'm not good with math. Now I have to visualize, and that's not my talent either. Draw the lines. It will help you. Work with that for a little while, and then trust me, in the future, it will be easier for you to visualize those aiming lines. Another good thing to remember when it comes to aiming is look at the pros, look at what they do. They have a pre-shot routine, and aiming is already part of that pre-shot routine. It's looking at the cue ball, at the object ball, at the aiming point, at the lines from different points around the table. So when you look at certain players, when they walk around, they walk over to the object ball, look at the line, into the pocket, then they walk back to the cue ball, then they're standing behind the cue ball looking at the lines, once again looking at the aiming point, then they take a step back, and then they start to actually go down. But all of this is already part of aiming. So aiming is part of your whole pre-shot routine. Now, getting in line with the shot is just as important as looking at the aiming line before, and that is something I mentioned like so many times in my videos. It's the part where you go down, where you walk into the shot, part of your pre-shot routine, where your anchor foot, either your right or your left, goes in the line with the shot. And then when you go down, please people, take your time. This is the time where you go in line with your aiming point, with your aiming line. Don't rush it. Go down. If you're right, then you start cueing. If you're not right, get back up and do it right. Work on your fundamentals, on your basics. They are important. As I mentioned before, sometimes not the aiming is the problem, it's actually the cue delivery, the stroke, the shot itself. Always work on the fundamentals and try to find out if that is actually the issue and not so much the aiming itself. Stick to the same type of shots, and repetition is the key. So stick to certain shots and then repeat, repeat, repeat until you feel comfortable, until you feel like you got a hang of it and you understand what the aiming point on this shot is. And then you can move on to other shots. Yes, one more. Practice, practice, and practice. That's it with this video. I hope you understand aiming now a bit better. And remember, it should be part of your pre-shot routine. Until my next video, have fun practicing, and as usual, I talk to you soon.